Good morning, Jesse, and good morning, Eddie.
Morning.
How are we this morning?
Good.
Awesome. We've got a lot of people already on the webinar. So good morning, everyone, and afternoon if you're joining from somewhere in the world. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. As you know, we've got 5 minutes to go, so I'm just going to keep us warm until the 11 o'clock on the dot. But as you know, today we're going to be talking about the recruitment process. First of all, to make sure everybody knows that you can have more than one recruitment process in case a bunch of reasons for that. One of them would be in the event you have more than one entity under the corporate environment that you're in, and HR is servicing multiple entities, and every entity has got its own different kind of processes and different kind of culture in terms of because the nature of the job families, the type of jobs they recruit in that entity, the recruitment process need to be different. So the steps, or what we call the stages in the process, need to be different from one entity to another within the corporate environment. The other reason is just simply one entity, even let's say smaller company, 100 people, nevertheless for different job families, the process need to be so different, and it's easier to build two processes instead of trying to make that one process has got multiple stages. We use that stage only for that for those job families, and we use those stages only for those job families. You end up with convoluted process and have to create a naming convention for people to know what to use and stuff. So you split it into two, and from the very beginning, as we will see in the demo, when you start the job, you pick which process, and then from that point onwards, it's just going to be cleaner. Now that you're in that process, these are the steps that are organically fit that job family, or as we said, that entity, or whatever the reasons why you need a different recruitment process, meaning different steps in order to the steps. So that's what we will be talking about, and part of that is building those stages. As you know, in the platform, it's not just a name, it's not just a tag. We have now someone in that stage. They are really powerful, those stages. You can create what we call automations. The one that's very probably obvious is to be able to automate maybe an email to be sent off to either the candidate, the managers, the external stakeholder, etc. But there's more than that. There's probably 5 other types of automations that you can do on a per stage basis, such as you can automate it to open an e-form for, as we will build together for the purpose of phone screening. You want to, when you're on a phone screening someone, you would like to be reminded what those questions are, but also to capture the answers as well, whether it's simply you're typing in a text area or just a single choice drop down or whatever it might be. So you can build that e-form. When you move someone to the phone screening, the e-form opens up automatically instead of you having to chase where that is and forget what to do. It just becomes, you don't need to use brain cells. Boom, the form opens up and you just start to type from the top. Okay, here's the first question, here's the second question, and you capture that information. And that's good if you capture the information that way. That means we'll bring us to the next type of automation that is very useful, is to, when you want to start to share one or more candidates with managers and other stakeholders. That means you can automate the share as well. You move them to a stage called something like sharing or start sharing, and it's going to pop up the sharing options, and then you send that share request to the people you want to share the candidate with. And you might want to share the phone screening, what actually occurred during the phone screening, along their resume and cover letter, and the application questions that they answered when they first applied. So the person you're sharing with can see all these aspects of the candidate or the application from the candidate. So 11 o'clock, we're gonna get started. As you probably all know, we start with a what do we call this? A what?
A poll.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just call it out here. I love this one. How many hours a day do you spend on a Zoom or Teams call? And I think I lose count.
Okay. Brings us to a very interesting one. It sounds like we planned it. I swear to God, it wasn't planned. Speaking of Zoom, and I didn't write it down to make sure we bring it up. As you know, one of the stages is interview. The one we're going to configure an interview stage or even two. You can now, we've created the link, the integration with Zoom, so you don't have to do it separately if it's a phone, if it's a Zoom or online interview as opposed to in-person interview. We've done the integration, done the work. We're waiting for Zoom to approve that. They call it, you create an app in the marketplace, in the Zoom marketplace, a bit like with the Apple and the Google of the world. They have to approve the app for you. So we're waiting on the approval any day now, which will be available for you guys. So when you're setting up the interview, as we will see in a minute, you choose the date and time as a tick box. Do you also want to have add a Zoom link because you've already connected yourself with your Zoom account? You do it once. That's all you do. Tick the box, and then it's going to schedule the right interview based on the date and time selected, and it's going to include the link in the interview. It's really, really powerful.
Very good. So we got some good answers there. I would say the ones for the 1 to 2 hours are probably with myself or Anwar on a daily basis.
That's right. And we always go over time.
Very good.
Awesome. Right, thank you all for participating. Thank you, Jesse and Eddie, for doing all this for us. Let's get started. So what we're going to do, we're going to start from the very beginning, and you will see why, because I need to show you, as I was saying before, during the warm-up, if you like, before 11, I was saying you don't have to have only one recruitment process. It is definitely probably about half of our clients use only one recruitment process, and that's perfectly fine. If you don't need more than one, definitely it's a good thing, it's easy and stuff. But if you feel that you've got different parts of your business or different job families that have completely different workflow, different steps in the process, in the recruitment process, then you can have more than one. So the way you do it, you come to the account settings, as you probably know from here.
Share screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not sharing my screen. Thanks, Eddie. Let me do that. How do you share screen? Go back to this. Oh, there. Share screen. There. Sorry, everyone. Here we are. It's coming up now, should be. Is that better?
Yep, perfect.
Awesome. Okay. So I was saying I'm logged on to an account here that we use for the webinar. It's a sort of a demo account. And the account settings is there. It just opens a new tab when you click on it. So I had the old one open. So this is the new one. So you go to job, you go to recruitment workflows, and you can create a new one, or you can duplicate the one that you've got and then just edit it from there. I've already set up a new one. We used to just have those two. I've set up a new one. It's fairly empty if I go into it because we're going to set it up together. I've got the basic in it. It's got pretty much the start and the end, and I've got the one unsuccessful. We're going to build this together. But before we do that, I want to show you how you're able to attach, in the sense, which workflow to use with what job. So I'm going to start from the beginning to show you that. And then when we're in that job, we start to customize that together, add all the stages we want to add. And by the way, these are the stages we're going to be adding. So it's very exciting. When an application comes in, that's the just applied, that's the default, you have to have it. And then we're going to do a short list. That's not necessarily what you want to do. This is just something I'm familiar with, and it's good combination for me to showcase all the different automations. But clearly you can then take those building blocks, that knowledge, and make it your own. Whether you're going to have only 5 stages in total or whether you're going to have 20, entirely up to you. So that's what we will be building together. Okay, so as I said, we're going to start from scratch. We're going to create a new job and start with a request to hire. I've already got a request to hire form. We're not going to discuss how you do that and all this good stuff. That's for another session. We're just going to go ahead. I'm simulating here if I'm the hiring manager submitting a request to hire. I'm going to choose a waiter role. This is simulating a restaurant business, a restaurant company that have multiple locations across the country. The locations are these: the Dancing Dingo, Sizzling Steaks. Good names we came up with. You're welcome to copy them, guys. If your dream is to open a restaurant, you can copy the names. No copyrights. All good. Under the engagement, it's not a volunteer, not an external contractor. We're going to be using just a normal employee. We're going to use the permanent full-time. It's already been configured to work from an enterprise agreement, all ready to go. We're not going to stop too much on all this stuff today, guys. Department is going to be front of the house, and that's it. We're just going to keep going. I'm going to choose myself as the approver, the HR and the approver and everything, because I want to be able to quickly approve everything from the system, because this is not about that. It's not about the approval. So submit for approval. Now it came through. The manager will get an email notification if they're not logged in, or from the app, the platform's app on their phone, they get a notification, they swipe, and they are able to see something like that, and they can just approve it. I can approve it from the platform because I'm the same user who is the approver, and I happen to be logged on. Clearly, that option is also available. I need to go back in now and approve it one more time, because there was 2 levels of approval. First one, the way this is set up is HR for accuracy, to make sure everything's submitted right, and then an approver. That's how it's set up. So we approve it again, and now is the part why we did all this. When it comes to the last person, who typically the HR team, who will need to say, okay, the process now, we need to complete the process and start to recruit. That's when we ask you to choose which workflow you want to use. So this is why we started with the request to hire, guys, to show you when you build multiple recruitment workflows, what does that mean? How do you use them? How do you link them to a job? This is how you link them. So this is mandatory. You have to select one. In this case, you can have a default one. You can go back in here and say, I want this to be default, but I would say you shouldn't have a default if you want people to make sure they choose the right thing before it starts, because you cannot change that. So I would not have a default if I was you. Nevertheless, we're going to choose the webinar 2nd of March 2023. I just zoomed on a little bit, and then and only then we can say complete the process. We're not going to worry about the design, the posting. We're going to go straight to candidates. We assume now a few days or a week went by. We've got applications, but also we've added people from the talent pools, etc., which probably we're going to emulate that now. I'm going to link from existing candidates. So these could be your talent pools, your searches, etc. I've created these fictitious candidates here based on people in the business, including Jesse AM, account manager, Eddie Graphics. Eddie is our lead designer who helps with the webinars, sitting here on the right. He's camera shy. So I'm linking those 3 people, 4 people, add to the job. Oh, I clicked on add to list instead of add to the job. Sorry, guys. One sec. Link to the job is what we wanted. So we've got now 4 people against that job, whether they applied or whether they came from talent pools. That's not the subject of today. We need to now, we will go into one of them, doesn't matter which one, and we have a look at the traffic light, the stop, and the progress. Very basic. There's nothing in there because we're going to build this together. So this is the recruitment process that we selected. At the moment, it's got nothing because this is just the default one when first you have to have it when someone just applied, which has been linked. So this is the start and this is the end. Both are mandatory. So you've got no custom stages or stages in this process, which is what we want. So we're going to go, if you're an admin or the owner, you will be able to go into a shortcut from here, although you can obviously go in here, guys, and click into it and start to do that. But I encourage you very much to have your any job, find any job and create your own test candidate, something like, in my case, Anwar but always put capital test in bracket like that. It's convention in the platform, but you can call it whatever you want to call it. Put your last name in there, put your actual email address in here, martianlogic.com, and here you go. You've got a test candidate that's now linked to the job as well, ready to go. So you go into it and you start to do all your testing, because now you're not, it's going to come to you. If you're sending an emails, you can test everything from there. So I encourage you not to do the work from here whilst you can. Do it all from there, because you can make the change, close it, and then test it straight away, as you will see in a second. All right, so let's do that. The first stage we want to add, I'm going to switch to this, is going to be the shortlist. So the idea here is when you look at someone, either unsuccessful from CV. I mean, if you've linked them from the talent pools, it's not going to be the case, unsuccessful CV, clearly, because you linked them because you thought they were relevant. It's more of you want to start to shortlist them and phone screen, start to call them and see if they're still available, still interested, or send a bulk email to them about that kind of thing. Nevertheless, we've got here the shortlist and the phone screening. So in my mind, someone just applied, they either go into unsuccessful CV straight away, and you can have an automated email to it, which we will have a look in a sec, or you're going to move them to a short list from which you're going to then move them into phone screening. So this is a short list, the people that I want to start to call. So you can call it exactly that, contact for phone screening. And then the phone screening here is the one that we go into. Don't worry about the SMS template thing. This is just for me to remind you guys, to talk to you about the SMS stuff. So this could be chasing for phone screening. Literally, in our platform, when I'm recruiting, I've got a stage called chasing for phone screening. So then when someone calls you back because you've SMS'd them or because you called them, from there, you're going to be able to have a conversation with them, meaning when you do the phone screening, from there, it's going to go, you either continue or you're going to go unsuccessful after phone screen. And because you've had a chat with them on the phone, the email that you use, the unsuccessful email, is going to be a bit more friendly, a bit more personable. And that is why you would have a different unsuccessful stage. You could use the same one, but the language there, you talk to someone, you don't know who they are, it's going to be fairly cold in a sense, and in here you want it to be a bit warmer. The people, after they've interviewed, they came in, for example, especially if it was they came in and you met them and stuff, it's going to be even more warmer. You're going to acknowledge that, thank you for taking the time to come to the office. So that's why you would choose multiple unsuccessfuls, and we would build those in a sec, because it gives you the opportunity to make those emails more relevant, so people feel better about, you've acknowledged the fact that you've met me and have taken the time and you've been working with them for the last week, phone calls and different things. You acknowledge all that in your email to make that more personable and acknowledge the situation, so people feel good about your business, that you are taking the time to acknowledge that, and when you say no to them. So let's start to do this, because as I said, your strategy can be completely different. You might not like anything I said, but that is good, because that's the idea. It's all customizable. You can do whatever you like. I'm really basing this on my own experience in our business. We hire different people to, say, an aged care business or a school or whatever it might be. It's different kind of roles, different cultures, different things. Cool.
Sorry, just to interrupt there, just before you go on, we just had a quick question from Karen and Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make changes to the request to recruit form as it's already been used for a role?
Can
you make changes to the request to recruit form if it has already been used for a role?
Yeah. So very good question. So I'll go back here. If we go to the account settings and I'm in the recruitment workflows, if I go to approval workflows, and I know you know that, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So if I go into here and I make changes, and they're saved the way we do the changes, whatever. Some things we don't let you do, but nevertheless, any changes that you would make, such as add a field and remove a field, and it will only affect the new stuff. Once the rec started, even if it's in draft, that's it. We're not gonna make those changes flow into it. The next second, a new hiring manager starts a new request to hire, that will pick up your changes after you've made the changes. So we don't, it's the integrity of the flow. It's otherwise, as you can imagine, it's it's an integrity loophole. If someone started to approve something for a manager and then more information are brought in or taken out, it's like, no, I didn't approve this, I approved that. You don't need to worry about the integrity of the process. We maintain that. You just go ahead and fine tune things. But just from your point of view, the changes that you make will only affect the new request to hires that start after the changes that you've made.
Very good. And also one from Susan. Can you automate a notification to managers to alert them that the role has been advertised?
Would that be a state? No. So how do you do that? How would you do that? The role has been advertised. I can't think of a way to do this right now, but I like the idea. It feels like something we should do. There's got to be a way, because we have stages for the role, and maybe we need to have an email associated with that. I would really love to talk to you after this about it, because I want to bring in maybe Ben and other people that maybe know some feature I don't know. There's definitely stages for the job as opposed to the recruitment process, meaning the candidates, which is what we are discussing. So maybe those could have an automated email.
Yeah, perfect.
We'll see what we can do for you. Just get in touch if you don't mind after this separately.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're doing here is, guys, we want to customize those stages. The first one we want to add, according to my plan, is the shortlist. Very simple. Where do you want to add it? Clearly between those two. In this case, because there's only two. This is the beginning, that's the end. So everything we add is going to be between those. So from the library or from scratch. The library has got, we group them into what we call the milestones. So there's a shortlist milestone, and there's one in here that's the system one. You might as well use it, but you can create your own as well. How do you do that? Add from scratch and shortlist webinar, just to distinguish between them, and the milestone is shortlist, and next, and save. Done. So this is the one that we did from scratch, and this is the one from the library. It really doesn't matter. This is a system one that comes with a platform. Every account will have it. You can reuse it. You can have your own. It doesn't matter. So we might as well use our own. Let's remove this from the workflow. It stays in the library, and everything you create goes in the library. So even this now, you can reuse it in other workflow. If you want to create another process, you can reuse it, or if you remove it, you can bring it back. In a sense, it stays in the library. So if I remove it, this is good for you guys to learn this. If I go back here, now we're gonna bring it back. So we go to the library. It should be under the shortlist, and here it is, because these are the groups, what we call the milestones. When you're creating a stage, it's either generic or it goes under milestones. If you choose a milestone, which is you always want to do, as opposed to say generic, it means from the reporting point of view, we will be able to report better. For example, if it's an interview and we want to report to you how many people you've interviewed in the last 6 months, if you do generic, we won't know that. So try, as you'll see when you're creating your own stages, make sure you pick the right milestone. So I'm just going to bring it back, and here we are. So we created a shortlist, and it's our own custom one, as you can see. And what we want to do, I don't think we need any automations on the shortlist. This is more of a tag to be able to filter on which ones are the shortlisted. So we keep moving with this. Not much we want to do there. The unsuccessful CV, we want to add an email. So we might as well do that. There's already one. To edit it, you just literally click on this. And you do the editing from here, and it's got all these tags in there. We will talk about the tags. We build one that ourselves in a second. So this one is there. We'll keep it there. We go to the next thing is phone screening. So we want phone screening after the shortlist. We go, let's see if there's one in the library. Do we have a phone screen stage? Milestone. Okay, it doesn't look like we've got anything in the library. So what we'll do, we do one from scratch, and we call it, phone screening. This is the one we want to attach a form to. So let's see, do we have a milestone phone screen? We do. It's good, so we can report on that as well. This person reached the phone screen and then stopped, etc. So reporting can be more meaningful for you. Next, we'll just leave it at that for now. And now what we want to do is we want to add an automation to it, an action, we call it. Action links to the stage. There's nothing at the moment, and it's giving you the option to link one. And these are the type of actions that are available. The one that we want, we're pretty much going to use all of them. You'll get to learn about all of them. The one we're going to use now is the to complete an e-form, to pop up an e-form. It asks you to select any e-form that you might have. I've already got one here called phone screen, and I'm going to link it to it. So you can see now you've got one. You can link more than one, and if you do that, it'll ask you to choose one. So you might think for the job families that you've got, there's also you want to have two different e-forms to select from. I don't think you should, and you should do that. But nevertheless, I'm just going to choose any e-form now. Sorry. I'm going to use the coffee club just to make the distinction. And so if I do that now, what you will see here, it tells you there's two links. This one is one more. So if I want to test it now, it's so easy because I'm already in that test candidate, which would be yours. That would be, Jen, test, etc. If I go in here to test it, the shortlist is just simply a flag. It doesn't do nothing. There's no automations. This one, it tells you there's something, there's an e-form to be popped up. So if there is an email to be, we always show you here. You're never flying blind. So see one you just applied, it's got an auto send to it. This is the acknowledgement email when someone applied that we send off on your behalf, and you can clearly edit it from here. This is the just applied, that's the email. You can go in there and change it. Okay. Nevertheless, to go back to our topic, we want to test what happens with the phone screening. It says there's an e-form automation when you open it. Because we linked two e-forms as opposed to one, you have to select which one. Otherwise, it would have popped up automatically. That's the only difference. And here's the e-form that I've got. Tell me about yourself. Why are you applying for this position? They're all text boxes. There's no drop downs and stuff. You can have whatever you like. I mean, as you know, with the e-form technology that we have, there's more than 30 different field types. So it can be whatever you want it to be. Multi-choice drop downs and numbers and dates and whatever you like. So that would be you start from the top, asking the question, answer, and submit it. I'm just going to put in here. Submit. Okay, we're done with phone screening. Now, the idea is you'd move to the next stage whenever, if and when. So we tell you in here the stage that you're in. And sometimes if you want to reopen it, you click on this to reopen it. In this case, it's been submitted. It doesn't make sense. But if you're, for example, as you'll see halfway in the interview, you've moved someone to the interview, but you had to cancel the pop-up because you're not sure you want to come back to it, you'll click on this to reopen it. So let's do that. Let's go to the next stage we want to build. So we built the phone screening, the shortlist and the phone screening. We might as well work on the left a little bit as well on the right. The unsuccessful after phone screen. Okay. We are going to go back here and we're going to add a new stage in here from the library or from scratch. Let's just do it from scratch. We're going to call it stopped. I hate typing unsuccessful. It's probably the most complicated word in the English language. It's got 30 S's and 30 C's in it. I'm not going to do it while 1,000 people watching me. Sorry, guys. I'm going to call it stopped instead. Stopped after phone screening. Okay. Select a milestone. Unsuccessful. We usually do milestones as well, also for reporting purposes, and we've got one here. That's great. So that's the milestone, the category of that stop. And what we can do is just do that. And then we come here and we say we want to add an email. You click on this. I'll just type one word in here and continue. And then you've got all the options in the world here. So what you would want to do is, hi, tag name is applicant first name. And you can copy an existing template that might have had you've already built. It's got a bunch of tags in it, and you just want to change slightly, copy it, paste it here, and then change it around. You don't have to start from scratch all the time. So what I'm going to say here is thank you for your time over the phone, yesterday or whatever it might be. Today, if you do it, or if you know that you want to do it all the time, straight away the same day. And it was very nice meeting you. It was very nice meeting you. Unfortunately, we will not continue with your application at this point in time. We wish you the very best, that kind of thing, etc. HR team at Martian Logic, in this case, I'm doing it for our business, etc. You can do whatever you like to do. There's even tags for the user who's logged on if you want to do it that way. There's really every tag you can imagine would be available for you, however you want to do it. One typical one is the job. If you want to mention the job, thank you for your time on the phone to discuss the role of, and that's where I could, I would insert the tag here, no need for the new line, space. I would put the tag in here for the job title. Job title would be, we have two options, the internal job title, so that's the position name, as opposed to one that used in the advert. So they would be here somewhere, internal job title, and the other one, what would that be called? Can someone see that?
Are you looking for internal job title?
Maybe external, or maybe job ad or something we call it now. We used to have just one, and we created two now because you might want to use just the position name versus what you call it in the ad. But it's all good. We'll just use whatever one of them now. Oh, that's it. Ad summary title, ad title. So that's what they saw in the ad. If you want that because they recognize it better, then that's what you use, as opposed to the internal title that would be the position name. Cool. So there's all kinds of tags. I think you get the idea now. I feel that this is good. So the saving disappeared on me because I've zoomed in and out. I've upset at the gods somehow. What I'll do, I'll copy this so we don't lose it. I'll cut it, and then we can just go back and I'll come back to it. There we go. Close. So here it is now. If I go to edit this email, and I'll just paste it if it's not there yet. Cool. It wasn't saved. Here it is. Save. I do zoom in and out because of my eyesight, but also for you guys to be able to see properly. And that upsets the thing sometimes. I don't know what happens. Cool. So that's the email now that we created for this. So that's been useful so far. You've seen how we create a new stage and where you insert it, where you want it to be. You can decide on the order, and also the difference between clearly the unsuccessful and the successful, and why you would need to do multiple unsuccessfuls. As I said, it's all options, but I've explained the reasons, because you can customize the tone and make it really, applicable and relevant. Yeah. Relevant when it comes to messaging is in marketing is relevance is the number one thing. So people feel that you're not being contacted by a robot. And so that's how you're able to customize them. But also it helps with the reporting and stuff like that as well. So there's really a lot of reasons for that. And we were able to customize the email and explain to you guys about the tags. Tags are available for you. And we talked about the acknowledgement email. We get almost every client I've met always say, where can I customize that email that goes to candidates when they first apply? Well, that's where you customize it from. So it's been really good. I know we've 30 minutes have gone, but I think we've covered a lot, because almost everything else we're going to do, except maybe one or two things, will be really completely different, because it's just adding more stages and customizing things, you know. So we've already covered a lot. Happy to take even a couple of questions now, because so far we've really covered probably tons in terms of what you would do with the knowledge that we've just learned. Any questions, guys? We've learned also that you can have, if you need in your business, multiple recruitment processes, and the fact that you come and do them from the account settings under the recruitment workflows. And then the question then become, oh, how do I know, how do we attach which process to what jobs? We talked about that. But even for those of you that don't use the recruitment, the request to hire, which by the way would not be my friend, I'm just joking, but for it would be like literally crazy for a corporate not to use request to hire, but we understand there's a few clients that don't. It's still the same thing. So if I'm not using it, start a job now, that's what you would be doing. We make sure this becomes mandatory because we've recognized you have more than one. If there's only one, we don't bother with that, or we automatically select it for you or something. But nevertheless, you can see now, you're not going to be able to go forward unless you choose which one. So you cannot make that mistake. So you would select this and then keep going. Here's the job already there, and then we business as usual.
Do you have a question? From Amy, are you able to go through the phone screening pop-up e-form you created again? Does that automatically save to the candidate's profile?
Of course, absolutely. So it's good that we got out so you can get an idea of where we were and what's going on. So this is the waiter role that we're working on. Do you remember we've linked 5 jobs to it? 5 candidates, I'm sorry. We linked 4 and then we created 1 on the fly, manually from here. Cool. So this is a job. This is the person we were working with and we did the phone screen with. So if you go to e-forms, the fact that there has been 1 submission, 1 e-form completed against this person, we make the default the history. If there's none, we take it to the library, to the phones, to all the forms available for you, because you might want to send them to this person. You tick and send kind of thing, yeah? Or just click on the key to send it to them. Or if it's that particular e-form, what was it called, phone screen, I can search on that. I can go into it, submit it myself. That's the option. So this is the equivalent of what we did. I'm sorry, I know I haven't answered the question yet, but just so to provide context. So that all we did is created the convenience, instead of you having to come to e-forms, find the form, and click on that button to submit it on against this candidate. So in saying that, now that it's been submitted, I go back here. When I go to the e-forms, as I said, we take you to the history. So this will only show you if there's an e-form, any e-form that had been submitted against that person. And because there's only one, and here's how you can see the answers. So does that answer your question now? So whether you sent it to them and they submit it themselves because they get an email and or whether it's part of a bulk, because as you probably know, when you're doing bulk, let's say you want to send it to 500 candidates to ask them to update their details. You build an e-form on that basis, and then you create your list and you send that to the bulk, to these folks. It'll be a tag for that e-form as part of the tags when you do bulk emails. I don't want to go into it now and derail the conversation, but that e-form, the tag that we send the individual person, will have a unique tag to them. It'll be very big URL because it's secure, but nevertheless, inside that secured, if you like, capsule, we have a unique identifier for the candidate, so the response goes straight in here. It'll show you which form, and the submission will be there.
Perfect. We've got another one from Jane. I will be duplicating a job with edits. Can you please repeat the process of inviting existing applicants to apply again?
I will be duplicating a job with edits, meaning you want to edit it and then it's the same job, you want to advertise it again, you're recruiting again? Yep, okay. So it is slightly different off topic, but I'll go quickly if you don't mind, but I'm more than happy to jump on a separate call with you. Yeah,
actually, I'll reach out to you, Jane, and then we can set that meeting up and we can go through that.
Even today, I'll make sure someone can help you with it if I'm busy. Like I'll have someone if it's urgent. I'm sorry, because we're going to run out of time, but we will help you with it today if you need.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, so we want to go back to here and we want to add a few more now. I think that we've covered all the questions, by the way. Can we continue with the plan? Cool. So we go back here. We don't have to cover all of those stages, to be honest, because as I said, there's a fair bit of repetition in there. The things that are different are the share, and the automated reference checking and the interviews, probably, and the offer formalization. So let's get going. They're all very interesting. So if I go now into Nathan's, we can continue with the same candidate. Makes more sense. Sorry. So they are in phone screening at the moment. We're gonna, you can see we don't have anything else to move them into, so we're gonna customize that. We go into here, and only, as you know, guys, admin and owners can go into this. So don't be scared. If your managers log onto the platform, they won't be able to go into here and change the stages and stuff. And now we're gonna add a new stage. It's going to be looking at this, the share. Okay, so what does a share do? So let's say the phone screening went well. In your opinion, you would like now to share them with the manager or someone to say, look, do you want to really continue with them? I think they were good, etc. We're going to create a new stage here after the phone screen, and let's do it from scratch. We're going to call it share with manager, and I think there's a milestone for share. There should be. Someone see the share there? That's fine. Generic. Next, save. Okay. Now we've got the share with managers. We want to link an automation to it. We click on this, and we're going to use the share or start a share or something like that. What is it called? Start a share. And yes, and that's all we have to do. It says now it's got an application share automation to it. So when we go back here to test it, we can test it straight away. We'll move someone to this. It's just a convenience again, because you can do the same thing without this. All it is, it pops up the share, says ready to go. By default, it would have added here all the hiring group, the hiring. So if I go back here just to clarify what that is, go back into design. In here, you're able to decide who the internal hiring team. So that could be the manager. If that came through the requisition, the manager would be here already. But because now I'm the HR and the manager, there's only one person, but would have been two here already. And you can add other users to it. So if we add Aaron, now those people would have come up on the share automatically just for convenience, but you can clearly customize it. So I'll go back to the job here, to the candidate that progressing, and if I do the share again, as I said, because we moved them to the share, you can pop it up by clicking on this, and you can see now it's already there. So then you can say, no, I don't want to send it to this. I don't want to send it to this. I want to send it to just auto completion. I want to send it to Steve, etc. Do I want to show you how it works? Yeah, I think so. So let me send it to myself quickly. Send the share. Now, the reason I was saying this is just the convenience, because when you're on a candidate record, you've got the share here, and it does the same thing. It's just a matter of keeping. You don't have to, when you've got a new person joining the team to help with recruitment, or if you want in your business the managers to manage their own jobs. Some managers, it doesn't have to be set in stone. Some managers you'll continue to support. Some managers maybe want to do the recruitment on their own. That means everything is just set. They just follow the next step, the next step, the next step, and it's just going to happen. So it's not rocket science. You can do it on your own by clicking on share. As a matter of fact, with the share, you can do it in bulk, as you know. So if I go here, I want to share all these people, click on share. Now we're going to share not just one candidate, multiple people. So you can do all that. It's just the convenience of it, and to keep your recruitment process, everybody's on the same page. It's not written somewhere and he says, she says, and we do this and we do that. Yeah. So that's really what it is. So go back here. We've done the share. What we wanted to do next is, I'm sure you've seen the share before, guys. The manager gets the email and they're able to see the candidate, but also you can configure what you want to share about the candidate with them, and they are able to. Let me see if I can quickly show you. Does anybody want to see the share? Anybody hasn't seen what the share entails? What would the person you're sharing with, or persons you're sharing with, would see, and what they can do with that page? Do we need to spend a minute going over it, or you guys are good with that? You've seen it. All right, I think we keep going considering it's 40 past. Please reach out if you're not sure about that, but give it a test. Just create your own test candidate and send a share to yourself as a user and have a look what you get. Email, click on the link, and you'll see how it works and decide if you want to use it with some of the stakeholders or not. Okay, the next thing we want to build is the automated reference check or the interview. So to build an interview stage, the same thing, we go here and we want it to be after the share perhaps, and from the library, I've already got a couple, but you can do it from scratch. The same thing, guys. Under interviews, there's one in here, and under interview 2. So I'm going to add 2 of them, even as a matter of fact, at the same time. So now I've got 2 interview stages built. They really work on their own. They are built with all the different things that you want to be able to set up an interview. So we don't have to do much to them. We just have to test them, and we'll do that in a second. So we'll close this. What does the interview mean? When you move someone to an interview, it comes up with this pop-up, and that's where the Zoom thing will be coming. So with this, we pre-populate stuff in it. You don't need to type anything. It already says in here, that's what the candidates and the managers see. This is an internal thing, just the type of interview. They will see already interview with Jason Smith, and the name of the company, and the title of the role, the name of the role, etc. So it's all there. You can edit it if you want. All you've got to do is just change the date and time. That's all you've got to do. And it's an hour by default. You can extend it, shorten if you want, and you can add other people such as managers on it as well. So if I want to add straight away another user here, they're going to get the invite. Now, what's interesting is some of you haven't seen this. This is the integration with your Google Calendar or Office. It works without it, don't get me wrong. They will get an email and they will click on a couple of clicks and it goes into their email, into their calendar and all that. But this is a lot better, because when it comes up in your calendar, you will actually see the users, they are added as that on it. So you can make changes to it. You can communicate with them from the calendar invite. It becomes a lot more valuable asset in your calendar, as opposed to you just see there's an invite for an interview with Jason, and you can in your head going, yeah, I'm sure I've put the manager on it and it's all good. That will make it a real thing. So in my case, it's all integrated, or no, it's not integrated. I need to be signed up to my Google Calendar, authorizes it, and it's done. It's all you've got to do. It's very quick. And the other reason I wanted to bring you here, Zoom will work in the same way. There'll be a tick box in here. Would you like to also add a Zoom or something that it says it's already operating in stages as a staging environment, waiting for the Zoom folks to approve it. It says something like, make this an online meeting or something, or a Zoom meeting or something like that, interview, I'm sorry, make this a Zoom interview. You tick it, and that's all you have to do, because you've already connected yourself. There'll be a third thing here called Zoom. You would authorize your own Zoom account. You would authorize Martian Logic to access your Zoom account. Once you've done that once, you'll be able to tick that box. Otherwise, it's disabled. You can't use it until you authorize yourself.
Sorry, I've just got a few questions on that one.
Yep.
The first one, is it possible to change the format of the date field, so day, month, and year?
Where in it's a calendar. Why? Sorry.
So probably from just overseas and different time zones.
But I mean, this is saying March. It's not saying 03. Are you seeing it somewhere already from your experience that it's confusing? We will change it, because as you noticed, probably we changed so many places on the platform to use the name of the month to stop the confusion.
Yeah, so Agnes says just from 20th March 23 to 20 March 23. It's just aesthetics things. So she was just, I don't think we have it at this point.
Yeah. But nevertheless, it's not. We don't believe it's confusing, because we put the name of the month in there. But I understand what you mean. That could be an extra level of customization we can provide.
Yeah.
I take that on board.
Cool. And then also, will there be an option for different time zones, or does that automatically do it in the Zoom?
We're definitely working on this. Yeah. This is the time zone that you're in at the moment. The person's scheduling this. But you're absolutely right. If you're scheduling it on behalf of someone, or for whatever reason you're traveling now. I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, but look, I know what you mean. I'm not wrapping my head around it, but I know for a fact there's a room for this. There's an here time zone. Is that a new thing that we did? Maybe we did it already.
Yeah.
I think that's the one there. And it came from the requirements from the guys in the US. As you know, guys, Pav now lives in the US and he's driving our business there. And I think it came through him and we did it. Please test it. I mean, it looks like it's working. It recognized I'm in Sydney already based on the browser and the OS and all that stuff. And it shows Sydney, otherwise you can change it.
Cool.
So I think that's the one.
And she also asked, what happens if the candidate declines the interview? Can we remove it from the calendar via Martian logic?
That is a $1 million question. We really need to do more on providing visibility. So far, we've relied on the fact, oh, look, now it's in your calendar. It's a proper calendar invite. You can do things from there. I think this time has come to do more there, to show you, to have a dedicated page. Here's all the interviews and be able to go into them and make changes and stuff. I take that on board. The answer, unfortunately, right now is no.
Perfect. Jocelyn says, can you please show what the invite will look like when received by the candidate?
The only thing I want to add to that, if you pop it in here again, maybe you can edit it, or I'm not sure what that happens. Just give it a test. But in any case, I'm acknowledging your point. We can do a lot more. That's considering we're doing anything in there. So I acknowledge that completely.
Cool. She says cool. So we'll just go back to Jocelyn's. Are you able to please show how or what the invite will look like when received by the candidate and the interviewer? Yep. Is there an option to attach the e-form to it?
To the interview, very interesting point. E-form, because during the interview, that's what you want people to fill out, particularly the manager, etc. Yeah. Great point. We will find a way to help you with this. There's got to be a way. Let's take this offline. Yeah. I really love this idea. It makes perfect sense. As opposed to the managers will have to log on, or whoever's going to fill out the form and then move them to, maybe we'll have a stage for you here called between the interviews, interview one form. You move them to that, it pops it up. So that's definitely doable, and it's not too far-fetched at all, especially for you guys, the HR folks, you're always logged on. However, to make it convenient for the manager, because the managers might complain that, oh, I don't log on, I don't need to log on much, I only recruit a couple of times a year, or whatever reasons, they're lazy, and they end up working outside the system. I like the idea to give them that convenience so they have no excuse in a sense.
Very good.
I'm all for that. Yeah.
Good. All right, we've got 10 minutes left, so we're ready to get going.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
The second thing we want to do, so you can see you can add multiple interviews, call them whatever you want to call them. They all operate the same way. Last feature on the interview, I'm not going to go into it too much. The email confirmation, I cannot live without it when I'm recruiting. So I build a beautiful template with a Google map for our business. This is not the account we recruit from. This is a demo one. I have it nicely templated and it's all ready to go. You don't have to touch it because it already I've built, you can build in it the start date and time that picks it up from there. So once you've selected the start date and time here, you come there, you go to preview, it should be ready to go. It's talking about just to confirm the date and time, looking forward to meeting you. By the way, here's the address. And when you come to the front, knock on the door or buzz this or do that, you can just have it all in there. And here's some tips in our business. We prefer people to be smart casual or dressed up. You can have all that ready to go set up in there. You can have even multiple of them. You can choose a template based on the role. So it's really, really powerful. I 100% recommend that you use it. So you can preview even to it, make sure it's all translated nice, meaning the tags, and then send it. It's very, very powerful. So two things occurred in here is we sent the calendar invite and we sent also a confirmation email to the candidate that you just got off the phone with. All right, beautiful. So the next thing we want to do is add a reference checking, automated reference checking. And for transparency, this is an additional, what we call an add-on. So if you want to take it up, there could be an extra cost. Speak with Jesse about a quote. So just for visibility before I demo that, as opposed to doing your own reference checking, which you can probably build something, but it's not going to be as automated and powerful as the one that we built. So how do we do that? Let's say we're going to do it after interview 1 or after interview 2 or anywhere you want it to be. I go and say from scratch as well, and I'm going to call it automated reference checking. We're not going to go into the details of how to build the questionnaires and all that. It's just another e-form, the questionnaire, to be honest, anyway, not as if it's rocket science, but we want to keep moving. Just want to show you how you can add it to your thing, to your process. I think we have a milestone for it. I always find it hard to find these milestones, as if we need to format them better, or they're hard to read or find them. I don't know about you guys. I always have to use so much brain cells when I'm trying to find the one. All right, so we'll use just probability checks. There's no dedicated one to it. It is a probability check. And we go save, and we want to add an automation to it, automated reference check, link and automation and action. And there should be something called start a reference check. Yeah. And you pick from here the process. Again, you can have multiple of them, because the language in terms of for these user groups, for these candidates or these type of jobs, maybe the language is different, but also the questionnaire to the that is part of the process. You build the questionnaire for the referees as well, could be different as well. So you can have multiple, you select the one that you want to send if you have multiple, similar to the e-form, same thing. So now this is all set up. I'm not going to go into it, but I'll show you one thing, that it's all set and forget. All you got to do, and it tells you, by the way, it's got reference check in it. So anytime there's an automation, we warn you there. So this one doesn't have anything. This one here, it doesn't have anything. This is a proper interview, so we show you, it's going to pop up the thing. This is all set and forget. When you do that, it's all done. We contact the candidate, and you would have built that first part of it. You say, I need a minimum 1 referee, minimum 2. You set up that. They get contacted, nice email. You can customize the message to the candidate in the email. They click on the link, submit, supply the referees. As soon as the referees supply, we contact the referees based on another email template you would have customized. And a link, when they click on the link, the questionnaire comes up. Those questionnaires you would have customized, they submit them. You get notified, the reference check is completed, and there's a whole tab dedicated to it, which took us to it straight away, the reference check. You will see the process, the steps, the status changing, and then you'll be able to then go into the questions when the questionnaires when they've been completed. There's also dedicated here under checks a reference checks. Oh, it's not turned on for this particular account. When you go to reference checks, a bit like when you go to packs, shows you every single pack. Same thing with this dedicated page to reference checks. Shows you all the reference checks and see the statuses, and you go into them and see who it was sent to and who's completed, who hasn't completed, and you can resend a reminder, all kind of stuff. It's a full ecosystem for this. If you would like to use it, we can even set up a trial for you for a week. You can actually use it with real candidates. We help you to build the process, which is, the templates and the questionnaires, the email templates and the questionnaires, and you can actually use it in that week to as many candidates as you want. We're more than happy to work with you on that. So get in touch with Jess. Last thing I wanted to cover that is different in terms of building things, automations, because all that is really the same. Would be we've covered a lot, guys. I'm really happy. I know it's only 6 minutes to go. The offer finalization, I'll go into it quickly, but just so you know, we can stay on for another, no, we can't. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. We can't, but please reach out to Jess or myself, or just call the support if you have any questions about this. There's more than 10 people that can help you with this topic. So the last thing I wanted to build, we go back to the job. By the way, universal search is a perfect way to go back into that job super quickly. If you're not using a universal search, big mistake. It's got a little help in here. It tells you how to use it. It's very, very powerful to switch between the candidates and the jobs that you're working on. Because I find myself when I'm recruiting, that's what I'm doing. All day I'm switching between 5-6 jobs and about maybe 10-20 candidates. And that becomes, you never have to search again. You're switching between candidates, switching between jobs. You can even search on the mobile number. If I type, let's say, 410, etc., the last 4 digits, it's going to show you the candidates. You don't even need to put the full mobile number to find someone. Very, very powerful. Check it out. So Now we're back into that job, into the candidates, into this candidate there. I think it was the other candidate we were moving through. End up progressing. This is the one there. I want to set up one more thing, which is the offer finalization. This is very, very powerful. A lot of you guys are using the request to hire, but not adopted yet the part that we've added to it. So you are paying for it. This is not an extra cost if you're paying for the request to hire. If you're using it, you can just take advantage of it without extra cost. Get in touch. So let's say we're going to do it just before the onboarding. So we're going to add one more stage or two quickly. Let's get them from the library. Offer approval, finalize the offer, but also I want to start the onboarding, and you can edit them and call them whatever you want to call them. So let's see what that means now. If we go now and move this person to the offer finalization, it's going to pop up the requisition form, and it's going to now force me to finalize it. So for example, the one thing that needs to finalize is which level you want to hire that person. We started the recruitment process by saying, sorry, it wasn't selected, by saying that we could be for hiring a waiter. We're happy to start them at level 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Now, when you're negotiating, we found the candidate, you want to make them an offer, you have to choose which level. So this probably is foreign to you guys if you're not using the new remuneration and what we call it now engagement type field as part of your requisition. It's completely free of charge. If you're using a requisition, we will help you to use it. It is absolutely priceless. Please get in touch. We'll help you to implement it within your current request to hire process. So I'm not going to make any changes here. I'm going to submit it without approval to keep this thing moving. Something mandatory there, sure. Okay, and submit without approval, yes, and it's been submitted. The other question here could be, where does this information go? If you go to packs, we offer details. That's what was just agreed to now as the final offer. And so that brings us to the next step here. If we move them now to start the onboarding, when you pick a pack, say we want to use pack, if you have a contract in here, the contract, the tags and the contract will flow from the final offer. So in the request to hire, you're saying we're working with level, we're happy to start people in here at level 1, 2, or 3. You choose level 2. Level 2, if it's a casual, it's based on $20 an hour. You will have a tag in that contract that says the casual rate. That would come in straight away in there. So when you preview the contract, this probably doesn't have any of that customization and any of the tags. Very simple contract. All that will be in there. So the offer finalization is typically the managers or whoever was talking with the candidate, instead of writing that stuff down and emailing and back and forth as the instructions for the onboarding purposes, they do it immediately in the platform. So when the person comes to the onboarding, already they come up pre-populated based on what was finalized during the offer. Very, very powerful. And that really concludes what we wanted to cover, which is really perfect. The onboarding, when it's completed, we move that person automatically to the stage called this one here, which is the end of the recruitment process. When the pack is completed, we move them automatically to this. That's the end of the process. So that really, we've covered a lot. Just in case I missed anything important, I would like to show you. No, all the different types of automations we've covered. It's been good. We always run out of time, I feel, with these webinars, but this is the first time that we were able to cover everything I wanted to cover. Very good. If you have any questions, guys, support should know. If they don't know, they'll come back and talk to the product managers, the Ben and myself and the Pav and Lewis and Ryan of the world, and they will come back to you. Otherwise, just call the person you're doing implementation with, call me, call Jesse, or call Ben.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Very good. All good.
Do we have any survey question?
Our last one was, on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to recommend our recruitment workflow automations to a friend or a colleague?
That would be amazing if you can answer that, guys. It takes 10 seconds. It's good feedback for us. It's important feedback for us. We appreciate if you can just give it a go. Thank you.
All 5s. Yeah, looking good.
And thanks for your time, guys. Please reach out if you have any questions or anything you would like to discuss with me. I'm always available. I'm always working with clients. I'm not that kind of CEO who just worries about the numbers. I'm working with clients every single day. So reach out.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks again for your time. Bye. Stop. End the session. Yes.